Hello. Yeah, hi guys. Thank you for joining the live stream. Yeah, audio is coming fine, I guess. So, welcome to Brahma Puran discussion again today. I miss Brahma Puran every time I take a long gap from reading Brahma Puran. And let's see if everything is working fine. Yeah. So, today's subchapter is called Arista. Wait, where did you go? Arista's death. So the last day we discussed Brahma Puran, what we had discussed is Govinda's coronation. And today we start a subchapter called Arista's death. So this is Rishi Lomaharshana narrating about Rishi Vyasa. Vyasa said, Shakra left. The cowherds had seen Krishna. We had just finished the story of Krishna rescuing his parents and stuff. Audin, namaskar. Oh, Audin, by the way, the next day we discussed the Bangali Itihas podcast, Bangali Itihas live stream. We are going to be reacting to a guy called Anirban Das, who has recently had a big YouTube channel with, I think, it's a well-funded channel. It has great graphics and visuals going on behind him. And he is up there with all great light and makeup and stuff. He discusses Bengali history and Bengali culture in general. Not with an overt political message, of course, because then he would be having too much hate. But in the end, it's a liberal outlook, the Marxist outlook towards history, which I'm fine with as long as he gets his facts right. So today someone asked me to make a counter video about him, because only 5 hours back he has made a video saying that Bengalis were not Hindus as we understand Hinduism today at one point of time, which is about 2500 or 3000 years ago, 2500 years ago. And factually, based on the facts that we have with us, based on the 2 or 3 historical references we have towards Vanga or Bengal and Bengali people in general, they are mostly critical and stuff. Although I don't think you can make a sweeping statement based on the historical evidences we have, because you could argue so many historical evidences have been destroyed, etc. But Mahabharata does say that Vanga needed to be conquered, etc. I guess, right? And Bodhayana, which was written 3000 years back, that says that anyone who goes to Vanga needs to do prayaschitta. The people living on the beaches of Bengal are mlecha. So he gets all the facts right, but he has some flimsy and Marxist and unnecessarily Marxist, by which I mean materialistic view of the of history, and also from the lens of the modern world as we see it today, modern Bengal as we see it today. So some premises and some conclusions of him are wrong, which will be easily weaponized by Marxist Bengalis. So we will do a counter of that, and I would like everyone who is an expert on Hinduism to be on that live stream. So I'll obviously announce it a little ahead of time, not like 1 hour prior as I do usually. So I'll announce it maybe at around 9 or 8 p.m. Probably tomorrow night or maybe Monday night. So anyway, he says that there was no such thing as Hinduism at one point, 3000 years back to 2500 years back, but and whatever mentions there are, that's all critical of Bengalis. Now my problem is that were there anything called Bengalis in the first place? So when those places called Pundrabardhan and all come up, or Gangadidai, which are the contemporaries of Greek history, okay, during those times, he's saying that Greeks liked Bengali people, but Hindus or the Aryan civilization or the Aryan religion, he specifically says that I'm using Aryan only because Nihar Ranjan Rai, the person who has written the book Bangali Itihas, himself uses the word Aryan Qom. So Aryans didn't like Bengalis all that much. He has actually read that entire book Bangali Itihas as well. So but then Greeks had no problems with us. And then he goes ahead and says that there were so many ancient pre-Aryan customs that you see today, which is my entire argument, that even if Aryan invasion or Aryan migration happened, Aryan invasion ka to koi bhi proof nahi hai. Even if Aryan migration happened, that's a great thing that happened. Sanatan Dharma, as we know it today, even if it was created in somewhere in Haryana, Pakistan region, then it gradually shifted eastwards. The best thing that can, the worst and the best thing that you can say about this civilization is that it amalgamated, it took in everyone along with them, and then said that, yeah, your gods seem similar to us, let's worship them together. They never had the antagonistic view. Of course, the criticisms in those historical texts are antagonistic views of Bengal and Bengalis, but there was no active call to persecution, not active persecution, not any proof of persecution, which of course again proves that there was no Aryan invasion in the first place. But even then, all the pre-Aryan so-called that worshipping methods or totems or ideas of faith that we do have some evidences of in Bengal, those we can still see today being practiced in the garb of Hinduism, which makes us different from an European criticizing his ancestors' pagan past, or a European criticizing his Druid ancestry in Ireland and France. Okay, now because उनका जो way of life था वो पूरी तरह से गायब हो गया है, हमारा गायब ही नहीं हुआ. हम अगर if I was worshipping a pen in 3000 BC or 2000 BC West Bengal or 1000 BC, I am still worshipping that pen today. All I am changing is that now I get to say, or I end up saying, that this pen is a part of a larger group of pens. I still worship my own pen, or maybe my pen, it's not a cello pen, it's a cello pen. Also, it has a form, and it's also called a Pierre Cardin pen. That's all. That's the only thing he gets wrong. And more importantly, was there anything called Bengal? Those regions of Rad, Pundrabardhan, Tamralipto, these three were the only populated places. And even racially, even in the racial sense, Bengali naam ka cheez kya tha, that's a big question mark. The Khmer Mon ancestry and the Magdi ancestry, when did they come together and create this Bengali region? Okay, that's a big question in the first place. And last of all, obviously, the forever argument that we can't make towards this person called Anirban Das, because he did not make this case, but we can make this case to anyone who wants to weaponize these facts, and which I've been saying that we should not weaponize history for this very reason, because these things are murky at the end of the day. But if anyone does weaponize these facts, we will have to again bring up the core issue, which is that yes, 3000 BC में जो म्लेच्छा बोला था, और जो आज एक साल पहले रामनवमी में काफिर बोल दिया, उनमें से कौन बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है? Okay, that's the conclusion in the end. Okay, let's take some comments. अभय अग्रवाल, नमस्कार, कोलकाता के छोरे पधार चुके हैं. जय श्री राम. Do a counter to Vimoh 2. अच्छा, ये विमोह कौन है? The name oxygen did not exist before 1600s, therefore the element oxygen did not exist before 1600. Yes. Pre-Aryan, is it really verified or just theory? Vedas at the end is our foundation theology, given 33 Koti Devtas exist according to scripture. Yes, there are 33 categories of Devtas, not 33 million, 33 crore Devtas actually. Bengal was 70-80% forest, and forest people are generally hostile, so it might be justified. That's what I think. East Bengal was a jungle. It had a minuscule population. Yeah, that's what even Bangali Itihas, the book, says itself. So there is a question of who were Bengalis in the first place, or how many were really Bengalis in the modern sense. Let me quote Bodhayana for the Mlecchas. Yes, people were floating mid-air before discovery of gravitation. Yes. Pre-Aryan is really verified or just a theory? Pre-Aryan, I don't think there is much dispute to be made, because see, even if there was something called a Vedic civilization or a Sanatan Dharma, ऐसा तो नहीं है कि पैरेलली हर जगह में at a time अचानक से पूरा इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट में सब जगह के ऋषि अचानक एक दिन सुबह उठ के वेद लिखने लगे या पढ़ने लगे. कहीं पे तो इनिशियली शुरू हुआ था, फिर कहीं और पे फैला होगा. Someone might make an argument if they have enough evidence that no, Vedic civilization was made in Bengal itself, then it spread outwards. That can be an argument completely different. But all I'm saying is, somewhere or the other, it was created, then it spread elsewhere. So in that sense, when it did not spread, उसके पहले क्या हो रहा था? That is pre-Vedic or pre-Aryan according to me. And which is the same case with Sanskrit versus Tamil argument, which is the oldest surviving language. But not जब संस्कृत पहुंचा नहीं था, उसके पहले भी लोग बात तो करते थे. So nothing is really the oldest language in one way. We also have to make the specification that what is the oldest surviving language, and in that case I don't exactly know whether Tamil or Sanskrit is the oldest. Okay. People who are floating it, yes. Vimo is a woke Indian YouTuber. His full name is Vijendra Mohanty. I see. Gomangsa khadako yasya durvadi bahu bhashate shastrachara vihinasya mlecha ityabhidhyate. What does this mean exactly? Wait, I need to zoom in on this comment section a little. आर्यन इन्वेजन डीएनए एविडेंस के द्वारा डिस्प्रूव हो चुका है. यस, आर्यन इन्वेजन तो हुआ नहीं है. आर्यन माइग्रेशन आई गेस इज नॉट दैट मच ऑफ अ कंसेंसस हैज नॉट बीन रीच्ड येट. एंड डीएनए एविडेंस इवन नीरज राय इज आई थिंक अ लिटिल इफी ऑन दैट. जानिए दियो. यस वी विल डिस्कस दिस. ओके, let's start Brahma Puran then and keep up the comment section. I'll check it out time to time. দাদা আমি ট্রান্সলেশনটি ওপরে দিয়েছি. ও ট্রান্সলেশনটা ওপরে দিয়েছো? আচ্ছা, এখনও তাহলে আসেনি বোধহয় মেসেজটা নাকি? গোমাংস খাদক यस्य दुर्वादी बहु भाषते सहस्र विन्यासी म्लेच्छा इत्याभिध्यते. এটা ট্রান্সলেশনটা এখনো আসেনি, বুঝলে? সপ্তঋষি গোমাংস. These people will not shy from saying pre-Aryan, which is disputed, but will never say pre-Islamic when mentioning the ancient times, ignoring the massive change that Islamic invasion caused. Yeah, that is the problem with this guy's video as well. In the end, he says that even if there was a pre, which gives the impression that yeah, he's just a friendly historian, your friendly neighborhood historian speaking some facts. In the end, in the conclusion, he says that so what if Bengalis were not Hindu back then? Today we are all Hindu, Muslim, and again he brings that false equivalency, which is the big problem. Otherwise, factually, I don't have much to counter him. That is what we will have to counter him on, which is that yeah, just like Aryans came, then Muslims came, and we lived happily ever after. Okay, those who kill. Comment section is a little faulty of YouTube live stream. Okay, only now one sentence has come. I don't know where's the rest of the translation. Why doesn't these guys read Quran? Okay, I'll join the comment section a little later. So Arista's death. Vyasa said, Shakra left. The cowherds had seen Krishna, the performer of unblemished deeds, hold up Mount Govardhana. Delighted, they spoke. The Gopas said, O immensely fortunate one, you have saved us and the cows from this great fear. Through this feat of holding up the mountains as if in childish sport, the state of being a cowherd is condemned. O son, but your feat is divine. F-E-A-T, your achievement. How is this possible? In the water you subjugated Kalia. Pralamba was brought down. You held up Govardhana. Our minds are scared. This is the truth. We swear on Hari's feet that this is the truth. O infinitely valiant one, when we witness your valor, we do not think that you are human. Whether you are a god, a Danava, or Yaksha, or a Gandharva, we think that you are our relative. We bow down to you. O Keshava, we from Vraja, along with our wives and our sons, love you. But these feats are impossible for even the gods to accomplish. Your excessive birth in childhood and your birth amidst us is not natural. O Krishna, one whose Atman is immeasurable, as we think we are filled with doubts. End quote. O Supreme Brahmanas, this is now Vyasa addressing the Brahmanas listening to him. O Supreme Brahmanas, out of his affection, when he was addressed by the Gopas in this way, Krishna was silent for a while, but he pretended to be angry and spoke to them. Sri Krishna replied, O Gopas, if you are not ashamed of your relationship with me, and if you think that I should be praised, what is the need to think about this? O kin, if you love me, and if you think that I should be praised, then you should behave towards me as you would towards kin. I am not a god, a Gandharva, a Yaksha, or a Danava. I have been born as your kin. There is no need to think of me in any other way. End quote. They heard Hari's words and Bala remained silent. The Gopas realized that those two immensely fortunate ones loved them, though they had pretended to be angry. Krishna saw the sparkling sky and beams of the autumn moon. The night lotuses bloomed and made the directions fragrant. The buzzing of bees made the region of the forest pleasant. On seeing this, he made up his mind to find pleasure with the gopis. Along with Rama, he sang songs that women loved. He observed the vrata known as Kamalapada or Kamalapada. Let's see. There is no such vow known now. The words Kamala and Pada both have several meanings. Perhaps this simply means the vow observed by the one with lotus feet. Okay. Hearing the notes of the lovely song, the gopis abandoned their homes and swiftly came to the place where Madhusudana was. A gopi followed his footsteps and sang slowly. Another one listened attentively. Yet another remembered him in her mind. A gopi exclaimed, O Krishna, and was embarrassed. Another one was blind with love and went to his side without any sense of shame. Another one saw her senior standing outside the house. She closed her eyes and immersed herself completely in Govinda. With the autumn moon, the night was charming. Surrounded by the gopis, Govinda was eager to start the dance of rasa. The groups of gopis were completely engrossed in what Krishna was doing. When Krishna went to another spot, they roamed around Vrindavana in groups. O Brahmanas, anxious to see Krishna, the gopis followed Krishna's footprints in Vrindavana through the night. In this way, there were many kinds of things Krishna did with them. Eager to act like him, the gopis roamed around the beautiful forest of Vrindavana. When they were unable to see Krishna, the gopis retreated in despair. They went to the banks of the Yamuna and sang about his conduct. Krishna's deeds were unblemished, and he saw the protector of the three worlds. They would then see him approach, his lotus face blooming. A gopi saw Govinda approach and was extremely happy. Her eyes dilated in joy. She exclaimed, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Another knit her eyebrows and looked at Hari. With eyes that were like bees, she drank the nectar from his lotus face. Another saw Govinda and closed her eyes. Immersed in yoga, she meditated on him. With some, Madhava had charming conversations. He assured some with sidelong glances and others by touching them with his hands. Happy in his mind, Hari lovingly amused himself with the gopis. Extensively in his conduct, the rasa dance was performed in groups. As they danced, there were lovely sounds from the movements in the bangles. These were progressively mixed with poems and songs about the autumn. Krishna sang about the autumn moon, the moonbeams and the ponds full of lotuses. However, the gopis repeatedly only sang about Krishna's name. A gopi became exhausted from dancing round and round, and her moving bangles made her hands warm. She placed her hands, which were like creepers, on the shoulders of Madhu's slayer. Another gopi was skilled in singing, praising, and artifices. She embraced him with her graceful arms and lovingly kissed him. Hari's desired arms touched a gopi's cheeks. Just as rain from a cloud leads to crops growing, the resultant drops of sweat made her body hair stand up. Krishna sang the songs of rasa, and as the pitch of his voice rose, they exclaimed, "O Krishna, well done, Krishna." In a pitch that was double his, when he advanced, they followed him. When he moved in a circle, they proceeded ahead of him. The gopis proceeded ahead of Hari and followed him. At that time, Madhusudana amused himself with the gopis. Even if he was away for an instant, it seemed like crores of years. The gopis could not be restrained by their fathers, husbands, or brothers. Full of desire, they amused themselves with Krishna during the nights. Though he was a youth, Madhusudana was wise and showed them respect, amusing himself with them. Immeasurable in his Atman, he spent the nights with them. He pervaded them and their husbands. He was the Lord who was in all beings. His own form was in their Atmans. He pervaded everything and was established in everything. Space, fire, earth, water, and wind are in all beings. Just like that, he was in everything. He pervaded everything and was established in everything. There was an occasion in the evening when Janardana was engaged in rasa. The insolent Arista arrived in the settlement, causing terror. His form was that of a bull, and he resembled a monsoon cloud full of water. His horns were sharp, and his eyes were like the sun. He kicked the ground with his hooves and tore it up. He repeatedly licked his lips with his tongue and bit them. Full of rage, he raised up his tail. The muscles of his shoulder were tough. His hump was large and fierce. His size was unsurpassed. His hindquarters were smeared with urine and excrement. He caused great anxiety among the cows. Loose skin hung down from his neck. As a result of butting against trees, his face was marked. This was a Daitya in the form of a bull, and he made the cows have miscarriages. He swiftly struck everything that caused him an obstruction. On seeing the one with the terrible eyes, the Gopas and Gopis were afflicted by fear. They rushed around here and there shrieking, "O Krishna, O Krishna." Keshava roared like a lion and slapped the palms of his hands. Hearing that sound, he rushed in Damodara's direction. With the tips of his eyes fixed towards Krishna's side, the tips of his horns were pointed in a forward direction. The evil-souled Daitya, in the form of a bull, rushed forward. The immensely strong Krishna saw that the Daitya, in the form of a bull, was advancing. He did not move from his spot, but ignored him. He seemed to smile in sport. When he approached without moving, Madhusudana seized him by the tips of his horns like a crocodile seizes. He then struck him in the sides with his knees. Seized by the horns, all his insolence and strength disappeared. He seized Arista's throat and wrung it, as if it was a wet garment. He uprooted one of the horns and struck him with that. Vomiting blood from his mouth, the great Daitya died. When the Daitya was killed, the Gopas praised Janardana. Just as in ancient times, the gods had praised the one with the 1,000 eyes when Vritra was slain. This is the end of this subchapter. Next subchapter is called Keshi's death. Let's check some comments. Dada, this very verse is misinterpreted as Krishna to be a playboy, through nitpicking and dumbassery of self-proclaimed highly intelligent beings. Yes. Most AMT fans, Aryan migration theory fans, are talking based on early Indians of Tony Joseph. Dada, came across a beautiful article by Binoy Kumar Sarkar on Hindu theory of international relation in JSTOR. Your view of it would be a delight. Great. Thanks for recommending. We'll discuss it in a live stream. Just because Sri Krishna had great relationship with gopis and his personality was charismatic doesn't mean that he was a playboy. Yes. Acha, abar likhchi dada. Translation: those who will kill and eat cows, speak anti-Vedic doctrines, those who do not practice Shastra, Achara, rituals and manners, they are called Mlechas. Yes. And Mlecha later became a sort of a gali. Here it seems like more of a neutral discussion that, hey, these guys don't follow our ways. Or Anarya. So unless there was active persecution, I don't give a shit. And actually, this is what even J. Sai Deepak had mentioned on the Vad podcast when they were discussing Kantara. That, see, the Panjuli Daiva, the Guliga Daiva, they also seem obviously pre-Vedic or pre-Aryan, if not pre, at least parallel to Vedic times, or when Vedas were being written. At the same time, they may have existed parallelly without knowing that something called Vedas exist in the places of Mangalore, right? Now, J. Sai Deepak makes a great point that now why does that get attached with the Varaha avatar? Or and that is why the song Vararupam becomes applicable in that context. Now, that is the beauty of Sanatan Dharma. That is the beauty of Hinduism as we know today. That you can't really say that Bengalis were not Hindu because what they were worshipping was not consciously called Hinduism, but what they were worshipping, what their customs were, are mostly alive today in the form of Hinduism, which is a coalition of all the pre-Abrahamic cults, sampradayas, different ways of life, cultures and faith systems. This is what people don't get about the definitions of Sanatan Dharma and Hinduism. So anyway, J. Sai Deepak says, Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma is like a cloth in which there are different threads. Different threads have built up this cloth, and that is a nice thing about it. So we don't have to eliminate one thread just to create a cloth. The cloth is built by involving all these threads and pieces together. Now, what the Marxists are doing, what the anti-Hindus are doing is pulling at every thread and saying that, see, this is so different from Vedic civilization. Oh, this is another thread. This is so different from the Vedic civilization. As an effect of that, what they end up doing is pull all the threads, the cloth comes off, and everyone is naked. All tribal deities could be accommodated under our scheme 33 prototypes, which is explained in Vedas, which is why we can extend our devotion to deities of other polytheistic cultures. And exactly that is what has happened. All proofs show that. Even if you are against Aryan migration theory, if you are for migration theory, if you are for Aryan invasion theory, this is exactly what has always happened. Which is why when Julius Caesar comes here, he feels that, not Julius Caesar, Alexander, he feels like Krishna is just another reincarnation of Hercules. There is an Indo-Greek, you all know, right, that there was something, a completely different religion called Indo-Greek religion, Hellenistic religion, that came up, which is why there are Buddha statues nearby Greece as well. And then there is an Indo-Greek monument somewhere in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, then there are other examples that that story of Al-Manat, Al-Lat, Al-Uzza, the pre-Islamic three deities, female goddesses who were worshipped in Arabia. And all those people, when they came to India for trading, they regularly visited Somnath temple because it was near the shores. That is where they came in from. And they realized, oh, this kind of seems like a god we could worship as well. So let's just go to Somnath temple. Now, so Indians knew about pre-Arabic goddesses, Allat, Al-Manat, Al-Uzza. People who were worshipping Allah, Allat, Al-Manat, Al-Uzza knew of Somnath temple. Nobody had a problem with each other. So when Islam takes over those places, they do convert to Islam, but they end up saying that our deities are not safe here anymore. So they will go to Somnath temple and be safe there, because there everyone is safe, because there no one's an outsider. Okay, which is why that triggers all future Muslim invaders to come and destroy Somnath temple first and foremost. पहले भोसरी के सोमनाथ टेम्पल को तोड़ो, क्योंकि वहाँ पे अल्लात, अल-मनत और अल-उज़्ज़ा घुसी बैठी हुई है. This is what I'm quoting, almost paraphrasing, word for word almost, from Sitaram Goel's book, Islam vis-a-vis Hindu temples. Indo-Greeks were in Afghanistan. Bamiyan Buddha was an example of their work, right? If as man we have good relationship with our female friends, it should be appreciated by progressive people. Yes. People often overlook that ancient kingdoms, whether Greek, Indic, Greek or Egyptian, seldom destroyed temples during invasions, unlike Islam. Yes. Everyone had respect for everyone. Garuda Stambha by Greek ambassador, which is cited as a proof of Vaishnavism. The Greek guy mentions even Mahabharata, and it is dated after 200 BC, right? It doesn't mean that the person is playboy. Yes. Oh yes, R.C. Majumdar mentioned that's why Somnath was targeted. Yes, yes. And I'm saying from reading Sitaram Goel. JSG said that Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma are tattvas which have been mapped on tribal deities too. Yes. Okay. Nice conversation here going on. Let me check some previous comments. RSB was saying, well, these intellectuals reject Ramayana through critical thinking, but somehow forget to apply logic in case of Bible, Quran. Somehow they turn into peaceful faiths despite the killings. No. One small mistake, RSB. It is the absolute current day modern Marxists and liberals who are saying that those religions are peaceful religions and Hinduism is the only one to blame. This is an absolutely modern concept. आज से 15-20 साल पहले क्या बोला जाता था कि since we have to end up criticizing Christianity for its dark ages, we have to end up criticizing Islam because most people kind of still know that इतने बड़बड़ता हुए थे. So let's just say religion itself is bad. That is what in Bangal family meaning descendants and families which came from Bangladesh during partition and descendants of those people. So in Bangal families who are Marxist, we always get to hear these things, that some people did politics with religion, dharma niye kichu lok rajniti kore, and therefore religion itself is to blame. Not Muslims in particular, not Islam in particular, not Muslims of Bangladesh in particular. If they do have to criticize Islam and Christianity, they will say all religions suck, or else it's just Brahminical patriarchy, casteism and satipratha. Either they will criticize only Brahmins or they will criticize all religions. They will not criticize just Islam and Christianity. I think with regards to this whole Aryan thing, only surety is that it is disputed and not 100% provable or disprovable. So we should not be so convinced of theories. Yes. And that is why history is nothing more than an anecdote that you can use for fun conversation and fun motivations for kids, that wow, my ancestors were so great. हमारा ये हुआ कि हिस्ट्री वेपनाइज भी हुआ और बच्चों को सिखाया गया कि तुम्हारे एंसेस्टर्स भोसरी वाले थे. So that is not the way to teach history. আমার ঘুম পাচ্ছে, কাল উঠে শুনবো. Okay. Thankfully Japan doesn't know what Anilo Datta means. Yes, tribal deity क्या है? I'm from Kerala and we have rural gods like Bhudathan, Yakshyamma, etc. in our rural temples. I'm pretty sure most of you might not have heard about it. Yes. That narrative was prerequisite to ultimately pitch this propaganda against Hinduism. Yes. Yeah, it is the inevitable conclusion that we have come up now in face to face with. Okay. Now Keshi's death. Vyasa said, Arista was killed in this way. Dhenuka was brought down. Pralamba was conveyed to his destruction. Mount Govardhana was held up. Kaliya Naga was subjugated. The two lofty trees were shattered. Putana was killed. The cart was overturned. All these stories we have already heard in Brahma Purana. In due order, Narada told Kamsa everything that had happened. He also described the details about how Devaki and Yashoda's infants had been exchanged. Kamsa heard everything from Narada, who possessed divine vision. The evil-minded one became angry towards Vasudeva. Because of his excessive rage, he censured him in an assembly of Yadavas. Censured him meaning scolded him, okay? Because of his excessive rage, he censured him in an assembly of Yadavas. Having reprimanded the Yadavas, he thought about what should be done next. Bala and Krishna are extremely strong, extremely young. They must be killed by me before they become extremely strong. When they become full grown, we are quoting him, when they become full grown, it will be impossible to kill them. Chanura is extremely valiant and Mushtika is extremely strong. Using them, I will have those two indomitable ones killing in a wrestling match. Let a great festival of the bow be organized and let them be brought from Vraja. I will then make efforts so that they are destroyed. The evil-sounded Kamsa reflected in this way and made up his mind to kill Balarama and Janardana. He addressed the brave Akrura in these words. Kamsa said, O Dhanapati, let's see, a footnote is given. Dhanapati is, Akrura was generous in giving gifts and therefore was known as Dhanapati. O Dhanapati, to cause me pleasure, act in accordance with my words. Ascend a chariot and leave this place. Go to Nanda's Gokula. Born from Vishnu's portions, to bring about my destruction, two of Vasudeva's sons are there. The two wicked ones are growing. On the 14th lunar day, a great festival of the bow will take place. For the sake of a wrestling match, bring the two of them here. Chanura and Mushtika are my wrestlers, and they are skilled in wrestling, and in Bengali wrestling is called Mushti Juddho. Let all the worlds witness a wrestling match between the two sides. Let the elephant Kuvalaya Pida be urged by its keeper. Okay, a footnote is given. Mahamatra, which means superintendent of elephants, trainer and keeper Mahut. Okay, so keeper is Mahamatra. Let it kill Vasudeva's wicked sons, who are still children. When they have been killed, I will kill Vasudeva and the evil-minded Nandagopa. I will also kill my father, the evil-minded Ugrasena. The wicked Gopas desired to kill me. After this, I will seize all their wealth of cattle and other riches. O Dhanapati, with your exception, it is my view that all these Yadavas are wicked. Okay, a big footnote is given. The word Yadava is used both in a narrow sense and in a broad sense, more often the latter, which is the broad sense. By using the word Yadava here, Kamsa probably means the ones descended from the Devaka side of the family. Through Devaki, this was Krishna's family. In a broad sense, Kamsa was also a Yadava, but he was descended from Ugrasena, Devaka's brother. Vasudeva, Krishna's father, was descended from Shurasena. I will make efforts to progressively kill them. After this, without any Yadavas, the entire kingdom will be bereft of thorns. O brave one, therefore, out of affection towards me, make efforts to go. Address words to the Gopas so that they quickly supply me with ghee and curds made from the milk of buffaloes. End quote. O Brahmanas, when he was instructed in this way, Akrura, the great devotee, was delighted because he would quickly be able to see Krishna the next day. He agreed to what the king had said and swiftly mounted a chariot. Madhupriya emerged from the city of Mathura. Some footnotes are given. Akrura, the great devotee, meaning devotee of Krishna. And with the word of Madhupriya used for Akrura, one has to speculate about what it means. Madhupriya means someone who loves Madhu. The word Madhu has multiple meanings: sweet, honey, liquor, spring, which is why it's called Madhumasa, spring month. But it probably does mean that Akrura loved to drink. This is the sense in which it is used when the name Madhupriya is used for Balarama. I see. Okay, so Madhupriya is Balarama. Keshi was fierce in his valor. Kamsa urged him on as a messenger. Desiring to kill Krishna, he reached Vrindavana. He struck the ground with his hooves and tore it up. He shook his manes and dispelled the clouds. He displayed his valor and travelled along the paths of the sun and the moon. In this way, he approached the Gopas. The Daitya was in the form of a horse. Terrified and anxious at the sound of his neighing, the cowherds and gopis sought refuge with Govinda. "Save us! Save us!" Govinda heard their words. He addressed them in a deep voice that rumbled like clouds full of rain. Govinda said, "O cowherds, enough of this fright. Because of Keshi, why are you afflicted by fear? You have been born as Gopas and you are losing your valor and energy. This one makes a lot of his neighing, but there is little substance in him. His strength is only on the outside. Like a wicked horse, he should be reined in. O wicked one, come here. I am Krishna. Just as the wielder of Pinaka knocked out Pusha's teeth, I will knock out all the teeth from your mouth." Some footnotes are given. At the time of Daksha's sacrifice, Shiva knocked out Pusha's teeth in that same way. Okay, so Krishna is referring to what Shiva did. Nice. That is, he traveled through sky. Okay. Where was this footnote? 1384. Wait, yeah. He displayed his valor and traveled along the paths of the sun and the moon, meaning traveled in the sky. Having said this, Govinda advanced in front of Keshi. With a gaping mouth, the Daitya also rushed towards him. Janardana enlarged his arm and thrust it into the mouth of Keshi, the evil horse. When Krishna's arm entered Keshi's mouth, his teeth were knocked out and resembled white clouds that had been scattered away. Anyone who has seen UFC will know what he's talking about. O Brahmanas, Krishna's enlarged arm entered Keshi's body and became the cause of his destruction, like an ailment that has been neglected. His lips were torn apart and he vomited a lot of blood mixed with froth. The corners of the mouth were extended and the sinews of the mouth were loosened. He sank down on the ground on his knees and released urine and excrement. His limbs were drenched in sweat. He was exhausted and was incapable of making any more efforts. The Asura was extremely terrible, but his mouth was stretched open by Krishna's arm. He fell down, like a tree torn into two by a bolt of lightning. Torn into two parts, Keshi's body shone. Each part had 2 feet, 1 ear, 1 eye, 1 nostril, and a bit of the back and the tip of the tail. When Keshi was killed by Krishna, the cowherds were delighted and surrounded by him. His body showed no signs of exhaustion. Completely at ease, he stood there laughing. The Gopas and Gopis were astounded that Keshi had been killed. They praised Pundarikaksha in charming words that were full of love. O Brahmanas, seated on a cloud, Narada swiftly arrived there. Seeing that Keshi was dead, his mind was filled with great joy. Narada said, "This is wonderful. O Jagannatha, O Achyuta, your pastimes are wonderful. You have killed Keshi, who caused suffering to the residents of heaven. You were eager to bring about his death in an encounter between a man and a horse. Having been killed by you, the wicked one has gone to heaven. O Madhusudana, in this incarnation you have performed good deeds that have amazed me, but this surpasses them. O Krishna, Shakra and the gods were terrified of this horse. Looking up at the clouds, he used to shake his net of manes and neigh. O Janardana, you have now killed the evil-souled Keshi. Therefore, the world will know you as Keshava. O slayer of Keshi, may you be fortunate. I will again meet you day after tomorrow when you have an encounter with Kamsa. O one who holds up the earth, you will bring down Ugrasena's son Kamsa and his followers and remove the burden of the earth. O Janardana, I will witness many battles between you and the kings on earth, which you will bring about. I will leave now. O Govinda, you have accomplished a great task for the gods. I have been honored by you. May you be fortunate. Let me leave now." When Narada left, Krishna was not at all surprised. Along with the Gopas, He entered the settlement of cowherds and was the only one whom the eyes of the gopis drank in. Next subchapter is called Akrura's Visit. Yeah, let me check some comments. Can I see your message? I can see your messages though. You are visible to us. There is no problem. I couldn't see my comments from my other YouTube account. Toggle between top messages, all messages, it will show up. Yeah. ये आदि शंकराचार्य की धरती में मार्क्सिज्म का वायरस घुसा कैसे? Marxism का वायरस घुसा because some Marxists were also opposed to British government, and India's people, some of whom were opposing the British government but had problems with Hinduism because of casteism. They thought, then what is the next best option to counter the British government? That is Marxism. चलो पढ़ते हैं Marxism. Okay, by the way, White Raptor, you said that Matt Walsh is supporting Vivek Ramaswamy. He isn't really supporting. He hasn't really openly endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy as of yet. I think they are still on the side of Trump versus DeSantis. But that should tell you that the people who are telling me that there's no way Christian conservatives will support Ramaswamy at all, that should tell you Ramaswamy is probably the furthest right wing, furthest Christian in the entire Daily Wire group of podcasters and political commentators, right? Even he is appreciating Ramaswamy. So I never claimed that each and every Christian conservative, evangelical and Christian pastor will support Ramaswamy, but I said that it's not going to be a significant factor, because otherwise even Trump wouldn't win. Trump has 3 wives, sleeps with so many prostitutes, owns the Miss Universe beauty pageant. He has done non-Christian things all his life. But anyway, those 2 Christian pastors who did criticize Ramaswamy and said that if you vote for Ramaswamy, it's a vote against Jesus Christ or this country, something like that. Even they got criticized left and right by all Christian conservatives. They were absolutely getting destroyed by all Christian conservatives who are supporting Ramaswamy. Okay, there's no issue with that. And people who were commenting in even my video that Hindus don't even need to stand up for Ramaswamy. Christians need to stand up for Ramaswamy. Christians will stand up for Ramaswamy. And even Ro Khanna now got this chance to complain about white supremacy all of a sudden. Now all of a sudden he's supporting Vivek Ramaswamy. 2 दिन पहले तक he was also criticizing Ramaswamy just like anyone else. That fucking guy Ro Khanna went to Joy Reid's MSNBC or CNN TV show, okay, where they were criticizing रामास्वामी को लेकर जॉय रीड 2-3 वीडियो बना रही है दिन के एक के बाद एक, और उसमें विवेक रामास्वामी को ही नहीं बुला रहा है. और वहाँ पे रो खन्ना जाके पहली बात क्या बोला? He says, yeah, he is also an Indian, has a funny name, but we can agree to disagree. What the fuck does he mean by funny name? Vivek Ramaswamy is a funny name. This guy is named after Swami Vivekanand. I can say with 100% guarantee. After Swami Vivekanand became famous, everyone who got named Narendra, Noren, Vivek, everyone was named basically after Swami Vivekanand only. So in a way, our Prime Minister and Vivek are named after the same people. And his surname is Ramaswamy. So it's a family of people who were devotees and rishis or Brahmin priests who used to be worshipping God, Lord Ram. What's funny about this? So that guy is now jumping on the no, America is so racist, bro, on that bandwagon. So he is now showing solidarity with Vivek Ramaswamy, but of course no one needs his solidarity. But anyway, that is beside the point. But my point is that if even Matt Walsh is being appreciative of Vivek Ramaswamy, that should tell you something. Okay, let's see some comments again. Vivek is their side us, right, Dada? Yes. What was right-wing response to Mandal? Which Mandal? Okay, Dayas Pitra. One person made whole thread on how Sitaram Goel absolutely destroyed Marxists, Neo-Buddhists by showing they had no proof of any temple being destroyed or for instance, of no harm to any idol. Okay, even Rahul Sankrityayan, who is known as an infamous Marxist Buddhist scholar, he has himself said that there is no evidence of Hindus ever destroying Buddhist temples, at least not the ones specifically claimed by these modern day Marxist scholars. And they never countered Sitaram Goel. Sitaram Goel said, and he foamed at the mouth asking these people to debate, but they would never debate Sitaram Goel. कौन है भोसले वाला, कहाँ बुक निकलता है? हम तो हार्पर कॉलिंस और ब्लूम्सबरी के लोगों के साथ डिबेट करते हैं. तुम कौन हो? खुद का पब्लिकेशन हाउस बनाए हो, वॉइस ऑफ इंडिया. कौन पढ़ता है? तुम्हारे साथ डिबेट करके क्या करेंगे? Okay, and Romila Thapar had no response to Sitaram Goel. Yes, रोक खन्ना की पतलून तो ट्विटर पर AIM ने उतारी थी. Yes, Dada, you can do a stream one day of True Indology's tweets about unknown history. If you say, I'll send you the link. Yeah, okay, send me the links. I don't know much about True Indology's exact post because I don't follow him, but I know that he brings up some great points and has some disagreements with people on the Hindutva side as well. Kyle Kalinske is so cringe. He posts video saying that his wife demolished Vivek speaks in squeaky voice. I used to be such a big fan of Kyle Kalinske. He was a great host. He had so much critical thinking. He was truly an honest social democrat. And even he went to Joe Rogan's podcast so many times. He has had great conversations. He went to Patrick Bet-David's podcast. He has had a great conversation. अभी क्रिस्टल बॉल को शादी करने के बाद से उसका दिमाग हिल गया है, क्या करे. दैट वाज नॉट अ डिस्ट्रक्शन और डेमोलिशन ऑफ विवेक बाय एनी स्ट्रेच ऑफ द इमेजिनेशन. If his critical imagination is demolished to this point, that is a very sad day for Kyle Kalinske. Oh, I see, that's based. Okay. Social reform movements to reform Hinduism happened in Kerala, which actually had a positive impact, but it was effectively used by commies later against Hinduism. Yeah, that is what will always happen. Many Swamis led the movements. I think Sri Chettiar Swami was one of them. Purandara Dasaru also was against casteism. He never had to he didn't need a PhD in gender studies to criticize casteism. He has written songs after songs about Lord Shiva. उसके बाद भी बोल रहे हैं कि casteism करके क्या होगा? All people are equal. Trump's popularity is not falling though, so I think just by cutting DeSantis' votes, Ramaswamy will not go far. Now we will see only on the debate stage. डिबेट स्टेज में डिबेट देख के कितने लोग अभी इंप्रेस होते हैं उसका ही अभी बाकी है, उसके पहले कुछ नहीं होगा. डिबेट स्टेज में now in the debate stage obviously Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy won't have too much of an antagonistic debate because Trump and Vivek have been great friends over the years and Trump likes Vivek. He already said so in a recent rally. Trump is I think right now live in ED कौन से स्टेट में है मुझे याद नहीं है. He's right now live. He's doing a rally. Anyway, but Trump won't have too much of antagonistic views. All Trump will probably end up saying is that you are too inexperienced for this job. You have no idea who you're dealing with. And Vivek will keep saying that, no, you are now part of the establishment. And you did not follow through on your promises. I am the one who's going to follow through on your promises, even though you did do some great jobs. But both of them are going to destroy Ron DeSantis definitely. Utna to guarantee hai. But after the debates, because see, Vivek Ramaswamy's main public mass appeal kya hai? Every time he fucking opens his mouth, it's like a sentence written after thinking a lot, as if it's being read out from a beautiful book. That's how he speaks. That's his brilliant articulation skill. That's the brilliance of his comprehension skill. अब वो स्किल देख के ट्रंप का जो बात करने का स्टाइल मेरे तरह है ऑलमोस्ट, इन दोनों में जब बात होगा वो देख के अगर वो ज़्यादातर बुढ़े वाइट कॉन्जर्वेटिव्स को लगे कि हाँ रामास्वामी को वोट देते थे, इस बंदे में दम है, then he has a chance. Otherwise no. Otherwise in the pre-debate situation no. Or if by chance Trump does go to the prison, in that case he will have to contest the elections from the prison. But if he is not coming out anytime soon, then Ramaswamy of course will become the nominee by that. But Ron DeSantis' chances are over. Unless now Ron DeSantis brings out some Trump card magically, miraculously in the debates. Okay, Abhay, you are at Chattampi Swami. I see. I'm not sure about the name. There were 2 or 3 major Swamis in Kerala who led anti-caste movements. I see. Dada, what is your opinion on Sam Cedar Majority Report? He has made previously videos against Modi Hindutva, also recently about Vivek. You should see that. Yeah, I don't watch Sam Cedar much because it makes me bleed from the eyes and ears. He's too stupid of a person. And you all have seen Sam Cedar appearance on Patrick Bet-David, right? He got destroyed by Patrick Bet-David only in front of his face. Even who's the other guy? That skinny fellow. He also went to Patrick Bet-David's podcast and got hilariously destroyed. So Kyle is the best they have, but even Kyle is now falling short. Sam Samsilet is too irritating to watch. Okay. Dada, what is your opinion? Abhay, famous being Ayankali, Narayana, Guru and Chattampi Swamikal. I see. Okay. Akrura's visit. Vyasa said, Akrura was eager to meet Krishna. On a chariot that could travel fast, he emerged and left for Nanda's Gokula. Akrura thought, there is no one more blessed than me. The one who holds the chakra has used one of his portions to incarnate himself, and I will see him. Today my birth will be successful. My night has become an excellent morning. On waking up, I will today see the face of Vishnu, whose eyes are like the petals of lotuses. Even if men remember him in their fancies, all their sins are destroyed. He is the one from whom the lotus evolved. He is the being embodied in sacrifices. He is Purusha Purushottama. It is to him that all sacrifices are offered. He is the one who holds up everything. I will see the Lord of the universe. By performing 100 sacrifices to him, Indra became the king of the immortals. He has neither a beginning nor an end. I will see that Keshava, Brahma, Indra, Rudra, the Ashwins, the Vasus, the Adityas, and the large number of Maruts do not know his true nature. I will see that Lord of the universe. He is in the Atman of everything. He goes everywhere. He is everything. He is established in all beings. He is existence. He is the one who does not decay. He pervades everything. He alone is the Lord and the truth. Resorting to yoga, he established himself in the forms of a fish, a tortoise, a boar, a lion, and various other forms. He is the one who will have a conversation with me. To perform a task, that Lord of the universe has now taken birth in Vraja and is there. To accomplish the task, the one who does not decay has voluntarily assumed a human form. He is stationed as Ananta, holding up the earth on his head. He has descended for the sake of the world, and he will speak to me, Akrura. A father, a relative, a well-wisher, a brother, a mother, and all other family relationships are because of his Maya. Enough of these. I bow down to the Lord of the universe. I bow down to him. If he enters and spreads through a person's heart, he can cross over all this ignorance. Everything mortal is a consequence of his yoga and Maya. I bow down to the one whose Atman is knowledge. For those who perform sacrifices, he is the being embodied in sacrifices, known as Yagya Purusha. He is the eternal Vasudeva. Those who know Vedanta speak of him as Vishnu. I bow down to him. He is the refuge of the universe. He holds it up, and it is established in him. He is the existent and the non-existent. He is Sattva. May I be conveyed to that amiable one. If one remembers him, one becomes a recipient of everything that is beneficial. He is the supreme being. I always seek refuge with Hari. End quote. His mind full of devotion in this way, he thought of Vishnu. Akrura reached Gokula when the sun was still shining. He saw Krishna there, engaged in the task of milking the cows. He was amidst the calves, and his complexion was like that of a blooming blue lotus. His eyes were like the petals of a blossoming lotus, and the Shrivatsa mark was on his chest. His arms were elongated. His chest was broad, and his nose was raised. An enchanting smile played on his lips and decorated his lotus face. With his feet firmly placed on the ground, the nails on his toes were raised and red. He was radiant in his yellow garments, decorated with wild flowers and the feathers of peacocks. His hands were like creepers, with a complexion like that of sapphire. He was adorned with white lotuses. O Brahmanas, he saw Balabhadra, the descendant of the Yadu lineage, near him. He was as fair as a swan, the moon, or the kunda flower, and was attired in blue garments. He was tall, and his arms were long. His face was like a blooming lotus. He seemed to be like another Mount Kailasa, surrounded by nets of clouds. O Brahmanas, when the immensely intelligent Akrura saw them, His face turned as radiant as a blossoming lotus, and he got goosebumps. This is supreme refuge. These are Akrura's thoughts. This is the supreme destination. Vasudeva is present here in two different forms. On having seen the creator of the universe in the form of Krishna, both my eyes have attained success. Through the favors of the illustrious one, will my limbs come in contact with his limbs? Will I be embarked on that path of success? The prosperous Ananta is infinite in his forms. Will he touch me today with his lotus hands? Supreme men obtain success by being touched with his fingers. All their sins are destroyed. He is the best of well-wishers. He is the best of kin. There is no other divinity. Will he embrace me with his large arms today? If he does this, he will then purify my Atman and free it from the thriving bondage of karma. Having obtained proximity with the beloved one, I will prostrate myself and join my hands in salutation. The one who is praised with address, the one who is praised will address me as Akrura. When that happens, our lives become great. In the absence of this, shame on birth. There is no well-wisher whom he loves the most. There is no one whom he loves, no one whom he hates, no one whom he neglects. Nevertheless, he loves those who are his devotees. He is like divine trees, which bestow boons on those who seek refuge with them. The Ashwins, the Rudras, Indra, and the Vasus bestow boons when they are pleased. A footnote is given that the sense seems to be that Vishnu doesn't have to be pleased before granting a boon. Okay. Now we continue with Akrura's thoughts in his head. He used his chakra to kill the lords of the Daityas and removed them from the sight of the Daitya women. By offering him water, Bali obtained agreeable objects of pleasure under the earth. This is a reference to the Vamana Avatara, when Bali treated Vishnu like a guest. Though Bali lost the three worlds, he obtained the nether regions as a boon. Earlier in this way, Shakra became the lord of the immortals and obtained the status of being a lord of the gods for the duration of one Manavantara. However, it is possible that he may not show me any respect. Kamsa had seized me, and I have been tainted because of association with that evil one. Even though I have caused no harm, shame on a person like me, who is shunned by those who are virtuous. All jnana is in his Atman. I like this concept. Shame on a person like me, who is shunned by those who are virtuous. Reading these things, learning these stories gives you a great habit of introspection and self-criticism and taking ownership of your own decisions and your mistakes and things that end up happening to you. Okay. The biggest problem we find today is, of course, that everyone is blaming everyone else for their problems, right? Patriarchy, capitalism, genetics, hereditary, कुछ ना कुछ problem है जिसके वजह से तुमने कुछ गलती कर लिया जिंदगी में. But that is not the case here. He is saying that shame on me because I am being shunned by virtuous. So मैंने ही कुछ गलती किया है. मैंने ऐसा क्या किया कि जो लोग virtuous है उनको मुझे shun करना पड़ा. What a great way of thinking. All jnana is in his Atman. He is a mass of sattva. He is pervasive and is never tainted. He is never manifested. Even if he is not known, he is present in the hearts of all men in this world. He is the Lord of the universe. He is the Lord of all lords. Therefore, with my limbs lowered down in devotion, I will go to him. Vishnu is without a beginning, without a middle, and with an end. He is without birth. He has been incarnated as Purushottama's portion. Next subchapter begins, Akrura's return. And this what I just mentioned reminds me of something Ben Shapiro had once said with a podcast with a black guy. Ben Shapiro had said that what keeps you up at night? What someone said to you? What someone did something evil to you? You got hurt by someone else. If that's what keeps you up at night, then you have a big problem. If what mistake did you make in the day, if that keeps you up at night, could you have been a better person to someone? Could you have been more polite to someone? If that keeps you up at night, then that's a great thing to have. And before anyone says that Ben Shapiro is just another Abrahamic thinker, but he is Jewish, but in his podcast with Lex Friedman, during the last 1 or 2 minutes, he actually unknowingly exposes himself that he is basically against conversions and forced conversions, at least. Okay, he ends up saying they were discussing love and versus sympathy versus respect. Okay, he says that is the problem with that sympathy kind of love or respect that's based on nothing, that you love someone so much that you want to go and convert them. क्या चलो तुम नहीं, तुम अंधकार में हो, तुम्हें रोशनी देखनी है, आओ रोशनी देखना ही पड़ेगा, जाएगा कहाँ. That's the idea of conversion, right? And he criticizes that. Okay, and another thing I wanted to mention is that I'm reading the Sri Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. तो उसमें से मुझे पता चला कि उसमें से बहुत से श्लोक में ऐसा है कि va kimva, which means or in Sanskrit, is used repeatedly. Okay, now that is insanely happy it makes me, because that is exactly the word we use for using the word or even in Bengali today in common colloquial language. It's not like some only educated Bengali professor says those words. This is our colloquial Bengali, and this is what I don't get with people who say that Sanskrit is a Brahminical language. Hinduism did not occur when Bengalis existed. Okay, Sanskrit is, I think, preserved in its most accurate form in the Bengali language, and see what that shows you. The place that had most Muslim population was so hard-assed about protecting its Hindu identity, has ended up protecting its Sanskritness of its language more than any other place in the country probably. Hindi is destroyed. Shuddh Hindi is destroyed. Only Hindi professors talk like that, like Sanjay Dikshit. And some guys in UP who come from elite Brahmin families, they speak like that. Otherwise, Hindi is completely destroyed. Bengali is not remotely destroyed like all the other languages. Okay. So from now on, when I speak in Hindi, I'm not going to use words like ya, nahi to, ya to. I'm going to say va and kimva, okay? Because that's in Bengali and Sanskrit, okay? So relearn Sanskrit, guys. Okay, let me check some comments now. Implying Aryans were similar to Muslims in that they invaded. Yes. He uses the word Qawm, which is Urdu Arabic. Yes. That is one weird thing. By the way, there are Jews in Manipur. Are? Kahan se aaya? Yeah, and these conversions are mostly done by evangelicals and not Jewish people. Yeah, Jewish people actively took the decisions that we are not going to convert so much. Raptor should be though. I mean, Ben couldn't have openly called out his Christian brethren. Yeah. See, this is the problem with being a big celebrity. To what extent can you really destroy your own follower base? Okay. Anyway, a lot of his Christian followers hate him for being so pro-Israel. He is pro-American funding of American aid to Israel. तो उसमें से बार-बार कभी ना कभी बवाल होते रहता है. And Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro disagree on that already. Now, so he's not going to say that conversion is bad. And something similar was done by Jordan Peterson recently on his podcast with Bill Maher. Okay, Bill Maher has a podcast now, right? You all know that, right? Jordan Peterson came there, and Jordan Peterson, whom I respect so much, ended up insinuating that wokeism and Islam is almost as violent today, almost equally violent today. Why? Because just 1 minute before that, he said that he's going to the Middle East. He has been invited to the Middle East to give a speech, I think more than one speech. So now, and he knows that he has a gigantic Muslim population, as Muslim following as well. So because a lot of Muslims are saying that, yes, we also recognize and acknowledge Jesus Christ. We also have respect for Jesus Christ. It's just that we don't follow Jesus Christ. And we have more respect for Jesus Christ than all you people pretending to be Christians, but also supporting all these liberal ideas. So we believe we love Jesus Christ more than you do. So Jordan Peterson has a huge Muslim following. And which is why now Jordan Peterson can't openly say that, no, Islam is the most definitely the absolute violent one, and wokeism is on theory really evil and can lead to violence and also enables violence, but is not really violent today. And Bill Maher responds to that by saying, come on, Jordan, come on. if I draw a sketch of, if I criticize AOC, no one's going to blow up my plane. So that was hilarious. Okay, Amok Chaudhary is saying বঙ্কিমচন্দ্রের লেখাতে বেশিরভাগ এসেন্সটা সংস্কৃতর. হ্যাঁ, সেই জন্য বেশ কঠিন. Right, Dada? Still, these are the stupid bong speak. Yes. True Indology, despite having great knowledge, simply did something that he knew was controversial, and no sane politician would support him. Bengali is the most Sanskritized. Yes, apparently, and that is something I never knew. Do com and commune, as in communism, have the same roots? Who knows? What happened to true Indology is, and how does it involve BJP? Because BJP is actively pursuing him. That chalo hum tumko bhi bhejenge jail mein. Jordan Peterson called Tate a pimp. Dada opor tomar dekhte hobe. Telugu, Malayalam and Kannada are also Sanskritized. Yeah, I see. Okay. No, one is derived from Arabic, another from Latin. I see. Tate is actually advertising about his Hustler University course through making the youth insecure, I think. Yeah, those are there, but his rhetoric is a pretty good resistance against wokeism. See, the main reason I want everyone to follow Tate is for you may not agree with anything he says. You may hate him. You have the right to do that. All I'm saying is that don't let go of the chance to learn something from him where there is something to learn. And what can you learn from him? This fucking guy won't say once these filler words and sounds like which I use about 50 times in one sentence because I'm not that good of a speaker. Without saying once, he gives 4.5 hour long podcast in one sitting. That is a skill set that all of us must have because of the path we are in. We are trying to be in the path of debate and make people understand that Hinduism is a great thing, or we need a Hindu Rashtra, or any agenda that you might have in your mind. And for that, speaking like Andrew Tate is a huge skill set to have. And how does he achieve that? Andrew Tate does not sit around reading books all day. When he was a kid and up to now, he has signed up in a mail letter of some sort where he gets 10 new words for the day and he memorizes all of them, and which is why he never needs to think of a word before speaking it out. If he has a concept in mind, he immediately says it using any word that comes to mind because he knows so many words. That skill of articulation is also something that Jay Sai Deepak has. So speaking skills, at least Jay Sai Deepak और Andrew Tate के तरह हम सबको बनाने का target रखना है. For that, you all should absolutely listen to Andrew Tate. What's up with Sudha Murthy and veg? Sudha Murthy, I think she said, I don't know exactly, but Sudha Murthy, I guess, said that I'm a vegetarian or vegetarianism is good or something, and that's why she got called out for being Brahminical. Okay, let's see other comments. And Daily Wire's Candace Owens has interviewed Tate just yesterday only. Yes, I saw about 15-20 minutes of it. It's a good interview. TI criticized Savitri Bhai Phule heavily, which forced BJP Maharashtra to act against him to maintain his Dalit vote base. Yes. Does it have any Dalit vote base in Maharashtra? There, everyone is a Buddhist. RSB, yes, he used the same language used by Bhrimtas for our gods, in this case for Savitri Bhai Phule Batalas. Okay. She keeps separate spoons for veg and non-veg. In her home or in the office? Where? In her home, why shouldn't she keep different spoons for veg and non-veg? Hindus are 8th class citizens of India. Yes. Okay. Akrura's return. Okay. Last comment. RSB, then ain't BJP wrong in this? BJP would sit quiet when someone insults Savarkar. Yeah, that is why I came to know of it, because Jay Sai Deepak shared it. Jay Sai Deepak put just a hashtag because he can't tag him anymore because True Indology has deactivated his Twitter account. Jay Sai Deepak put the hashtag True Indology and said that I'm sorry for what happened to you. You deserved better. That's all. It's her own choice, yes, but does it not in office, in her personal life? Yeah. Usme se Brahmanism kahan aaya? I don't get it. Don't we have the right to be stupid people in our personal lives? Even if I concede that that's a very evil Brahmin thing to do, don't we have the right to be an evil person in our personal lives? Unless we are harming anyone. Ab moral policing का argument कहाँ गया? अजीब बात है. Akrura's return. Vyasa said, thinking in this way, the Yadava approached Govinda. Lowering his head down at Hari's feet, he said, I am Akrura. His hand was marked with the signs of a standard, meaning a scepter, a vajra and a lotus. Using this, he touched him. He lovingly pulled him towards himself and firmly embraced him. Bala and Keshava welcomed him in this way. They happily took him with them and entered their own house. Akrura was welcomed in many kinds of ways. As is appropriate, he was offered food that he ate. After that, he told them everything. How Anakadundubhi was reprimanded by Kamsa, how the evil-souled Danava treated the goddess Devaki, how the evil-souled Kamsa had behaved towards Ugrasena, and the purpose for which Kamsa had sent him. The illustrious slayer of Keshi had everything in detail. He said, "O Danapati, I know about all the reasons. O immensely fortunate one, I will do whatever is held to be the best. It should not be thought that it will be otherwise. Know that Kamsa has already been killed by me. With you, Rama, and I will go to Mathura tomorrow. With many types of gifts, the elders among the Gopas will also go. O brave one, let the night pass. You should not worry. Within 3 nights, I will kill Kamsa and his followers." End quote. After instructing the Gopas about Akrura, Keshava and Balabhadra went to Nandagopa's house and slept there. A footnote is given that instructing them to take care of Akrura. Okay. After instructing the Gopas about Akrura, meaning after instructing the Gopas to take care of Akrura. Okay. So Keshava and Balabhadra went to Nandagopa's house and slept there. When the sparkling day dawned, along with Akrura, the immensely strong Rama, meaning Balarama, and Krishna got ready to leave for the city of Mathura. Seeing this, the large number of gopis shed tears. The bangles slipped from their hands. Extremely miserable, they sighed and spoke to each other. If Govinda goes to Mathura, how will he return to Gokula? He will use his ears to drink in the sweet conversation of city women. The women of the city will enmesh him in their graceful and amorous words. How will his mind be attracted towards the Gopas and Gopis of the village? Hari is the essence of this cowherd settlement, and destiny has taken him away. Evil soul and wicked fate has struck at the Gopa women. The women of the city smile and utter words that are deep in sentiments. Their gait is languorous and graceful. They cast enchanting sidelong glances. Hari is from the village and he will be bound up in their amorous bonds. How can he possibly return to our side again? This Keshava will ascend a chariot and go to Mathura. Our hopes have been destroyed by the cruel Akrura. Now a footnote is given. Since Krura means cruel, there is a pun. Akrura means a person who is not cruel. Yes. Does the cruel one not know that these people are supremely in love with him? Hari has given us endless joy. Why is he taking him elsewhere? Extremely cruel, Govinda is leaving with Rama. He has ascended the chariot. Restrain him quickly. Why are you saying that it is not proper for us to speak in the presence of our elders? When we are being scorched by the fire of separation, what are the elders doing? With Nandagopa as the foremost, the Gopas have got ready to leave. No one is making any efforts to restrain Govinda. For the women who live in Mathura, night has yielded to an excellent morning today. With eyes that are like bees, they will enjoy Achyuta's lotus face. As Krishna proceeds, those who have an obstructed view of him along the route are blessed. Their minds will be pleased and their body hair will stand up in delight. For the eyes of the citizens of the city of Mathura, there will be a great festival. Today, they will be able to look at Govinda's face. What dreams have those extremely fortunate ones seen? With dilated eyes and without any obstruction, they will be able to see Adhokshaja. Alas, the Creator's heart is merciless. After having shown the gopis a great treasure, he has plucked out their eyes today. Since Hari is leaving, his love for us has diminished. That is the reason the bangles have quickly slipped off our hands. Akrura's heart is cruel. He is driving the horses swiftly. Who will not feel compassion for such miserable women? The dust raised by the wheels of Krishna's chariot can be seen, though Hari has gone far away. Now even that dust cannot be seen. End quote. Extremely miserable, the large number of gopis looked on in this way. Along with Rama, Keshava left the region of Vraja. Traveling on a chariot yoked to swift horses, he reached the banks of the Yamuna. Rama, Akrura and Janardana reached the spot when it was midday. Akrura told Krishna, "Until I complete the required water rites in the waters of Kalindi, remain here." Footnote is given. Kalindi is another name for Yamuna. End quote. They agreed. O Brahmanas, Offering prayers to the supreme Brahman, the immensely radiant one entered the waters of the Yamuna. He bathed and performed his ablutions. He saw Balabhadra there, with 1,000 hoods raised up. Another footnote is given, that is the rainbow. No. Balarama was in the form of Ananta and Krishna was lying down on Ananta. He was as unblemished as a kunda flower. His eyes were as large as the petals of a full-blown lotus. He was surrounded by a large number of Vasuki's offspring, giant serpents who survive on air. They praised him. He was adorned in a garland of fragrant wildflowers. He was clad in blue garments, and his beautiful form was excellent. He wore excellent earrings. Intoxicated, he was submerged in the water. He saw Krishna seated on his lap, with a complexion that was as dark as the clouds. His large eyes were coppery red. His limbs were large, and he was four-armed. He was ornamented with the chakra and other weapons. He was attired in yellow garments, and was adorned with colorful garlands. He was as colorful as a cloud tinged with a garland of lightning and Chakra's bow, that is rainbow. The Shrivatsa mark was on his chest, and his resplendent armlets and diadem were excellent. He saw the one who is unblemished in deeds, adorned with lotuses. Sanandana and other unblemished sages, those who have obtained success in yoga, were there, thinking of him with their eyes fixed on the tips of their noses. Okay, Sanandana, that is Sananda. As a group, this means Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana and Sanat Kumara. Okay, that is Sanandana. Okay, next footnote is they were meditating on Krishna. Okay. Recognizing Bala and Krishna, Akrura was astounded. He thought, how did they come here so fast? He was about to speak, but Janardana paralyzed his power of speech. He emerged from the water and approached the chariot. There, he saw both of them seated in the chariot. As earlier, Rama and Krishna were there in human form. He went and immersed himself in the water again. He again saw them being praised by Gandharvas, sages, siddhas and giant uragas. At this, Dhanapati understood the true meaning of this. He praised the Lord Achyuta, who is full of every kind of knowledge. Akrura said, I bow down to the one who only exists in the form of consciousness. He is the Paramatman, whose greatness is unthinkable. He pervades everything in a single form and in many forms. I bow down to you. You exist in the form of sound. You cannot be thought of. You exist in the form of oblations. I bow down to you. I bow down to the one who exists in the form of Vijnana. O Lord, you are superior to Prakriti. You alone exist in 5 forms: the Atman of the elements, the Atman of the senses, the Atman of Pradhana, the Atman and the Paramatman. Be pleased. You are the Atman of all kinds of Dharma. Among everything that perishes, you are imperishable. You are thought of and praised as Maheshwara, Vishnu, Brahma and other entities. Your nature, your own nature, has many different forms that cannot be described. Your Atman and your purpose cannot be described. Your designations cannot be described. I bow down before the Supreme Lord. O Protector, your names, types and other things are only conceptions. They don't exist. You are the Supreme Brahman. You are eternal and without transformation. You are without birth. However, in the absence of some kind of conception, the objective cannot be accomplished. Hence, all the names are yours and you are worshipped under the names of Krishna, Achyuta, Ananta and Vishnu. You are in all Atmans. You are without beginning. You are thought of as all the divinities and the entire universe. You are the universe. You are the Atman of the universe. You are devoid of any transformations and differences. Other than you, there is nothing in anything. You are Brahma, Pashupati, Aryama, Vidhatri, Dhatri, the Lord of the gods, the wind god, the fire god, the Lord of the waters, the Lord of wealth, and the destroyer. You are one. However, you differentiate your powers in different forms throughout the universe. You create the universe. You use your rays to destroy the universe. The universe is full of your qualities. you are without birth, but you exist in this visible universe. Your form is supreme existence. You are spoken of as the one without decay. Your Atman is in Jnana. You are existence and non-existence. I prostrate myself before you. Om. I bow down to Vasudeva. I bow down to Samkarshana. I bow down to Pradyumna. I bow down to Aniruddha. End quote. Inside the water, the Yadava praised Krishna in this way. In his mind, he thought of incense and flowers and worshipped the Lord of everything. Discarding all material objects, he immersed his mind in him. Immersed in the Brahman, he remained there and meditated for a very long time. O excellent Brahmanas! Having decided that he had become successful in his objective, he emerged from the waters of the Yamuna and went to the chariot again. He saw Rama and Krishna there, stationed as they had been earlier. Noticing from his eyes that Akrura was amazed, Krishna spoke to him. Shri Krishna said, O Akrura, in the waters of the Yamuna have you seen anything wonderful? It can be ascertained from your wide open eyes that you have been amazed. Akrura replied, O Achyuta, inside the water I saw an extraordinary form. Now I see that figure in embodied form in front of me. This universe is the great souled one's wonderful form. O Krishna, I am associated with you. Who is that extraordinary wonder? I am associated with you. Who is that extraordinary wonder? O Madhusudana, but what of all this? We will go to Mathura and I am scared of Kamsa. Shame on a life where one has to subsist on scraps given by others. End quote. Having said this, he urged the horses, which were as fleet as the wind. In the evening, Akrura reached the city of Mathura. Along with Krishna and Rama, the Yadava looked at the city of Mathura. Akrura said, O immensely valiant ones, I alone will enter on the chariot. The two of you proceed on foot. The two of you should not go to Vasudeva's house. Because of you, that aged person has been expelled by Kamsa. Having said this, Akrura entered the city of Mathura. Rama and Krishna entered and reached the royal road. The men and the women looked at them and with delighted eyes. Like two young elephants that were playing, those two brave ones proceeded. As they wandered around, they saw a man who dyed clothes and washed them. They asked him for beautiful and excellent garments. He was Kamsa's washerman, and it wasn't surprising that because of his favors, he was rude. He laughed at Rama and Keshava and used many words to abuse them. At this, Krishna became angry. He used a blow of his palm to strike the washerman, whose head fell down on the ground. Having killed him, they took yellow and blue garments from him. Full of joy, Krishna and Rama went to the house of a garland maker. The garland maker was amazed and his eyes widened in surprise. He thought, which noble lineage have these two been born in? He saw them attired in those excellent yellow and blue garments and thought that they were two gods who had come to earth. With faces that were like blossoming lotuses, they asked him for flowers. With his hands stretched out, he lowered his head down on the ground. The one who earned his living from making garlands said, O protectors, O one with pleasant faces, be pleased. It is my good fortune that you have come to my house. I will worship you. With a cheerful face, he gave them the flowers they asked for. He tempted them by offering them more beautiful flowers. The garland maker bowed down to them repeatedly. He gave them beautiful and fragrant flowers that did not decay. Pleased, Krishna bestowed a boon on the garland maker. O fortunate one, Shri, who seeks refuge with me, will never desert you. O amiable one, your strength will never diminish, nor will your wealth ever diminish. As long as the sun and the earth exist, your sons and grandsons will enjoy extensive objects of pleasure. At the time of death, through my favors, you will remember me and obtain the celestial world. O fortunate one, your mind will always turn towards Dharma. The children born from your sons will have long lifespans. Your descendants will not suffer from calamities or taints. O immensely fortunate one, your descendants will last as long as the sun exists. End quote. O best among sages, having said this, worshipped by the garland maker, and with Baladeva as his aid, Krishna emerged from his house. Now next subchapter is called Death of Kamsa. Before that, let me just have some tea. Okay, let's check some comments. Okay, Shavya, by the way, welcome back. Long time no see. I have heard that people during that time did eat non-veg. Kshatriya is meant to have non-veg for strength. Yes, I too think so. There are such references in Ramayana, I think. Dada, opore onek comment likhechi. Okay, let me just check out all the comments Saptarshi has written. Let me just check the comments. Sudha M said that there should be different spoons for veg and non-veg food, I think. Yes. Vote bank parties milk once Dalits get insulted. However, Hindus getting insulted doesn't trigger other parties. Yes, and there is a there is a pretty long history of a justification for that, which is that है तो मेजॉरिटी भोसरी के, तो क्या हुआ, थोड़ा थोड़ा दुख ही तो हुआ, थोड़ा गला ही तो काट दिया, थोड़ा डिसरेस्पेक्टेड ही तो हुआ, और इससे ज़्यादा क्या हुआ, फिर भी मेजॉरिटी है, और 5 लोगों का गला काटो फिर भी मेजॉरिटी ही रहेगा. मेजॉरिटी जब तक है तब तक उसका कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Which is why that argument is absolutely important to be made, that when were Brahmins a majority? That means Brahmins never did anything wrong. When were British people ever the majority? So British people never did anything wrong. Numerical majority से कुछ नहीं होता है. Doesn't trigger other parties. Okay. I mean, since they differ between Hindus and Dalits. Yeah, that is also a point. Exactly, the hypocrisy. I grew up around all these puncture wala slaughter shops in the neighborhood, so I became naturally veg with disgust of organs hanging there. I don't see any wrong in feeling impure touching non-veg. Yes. Sudhaji said that she carries her own veg food and utensils whenever she travels to foreign countries, as there is scarcity of vegetarian food. Okay, the bigger problem is that Sudhamurti, her husband is one of the richest people in India. Her son-in-law is the Prime Minister of England. That is the bigger problem, that she is from the privileged class. Okay, if she was a poor Brahmin, तो थोड़ा इतना भी बात नहीं होता. Okay, there is scarcity of vegetarian food. Except Sanatan Samiksha, nobody from so-called big Hindu YouTubers ever counter or attack Buddhism and Bhimtas. Yes. Therefore, Sudhaji was targeted for perpetrating Brahminical patriarchy and casteism. Abhayda, even after this, she is called casteist. But the most funniest thing was Arfa's tweet. Yes, it is wrong for Sudhaji to practice Hinduism. Also, those parts which do not affect others except herself. Yes. Why don't the so-called vegans come out and support Sudhaji now? Because she drinks milk, of course. Because she's contributing to the dairy industry problems, so why support her anyway? Now there can be an issue with degrees of cruelty towards animals. Okay, in that sense, I think dairy industry is the most cruel. Now again, someone will say that मेरे गांव में घर में गाय है, वहाँ हम कोई अत्याचार नहीं करते हैं, but that's not how most dairy products come up. Amul does all the things that you hear of or see videos of. Okay, any big milk product industry will have to do all the big atrocities, and they will pump the cow with estrogen, steroids, antibiotics, hormones, etc. to increase productivity. Now my argument is that vegetarians are still better than meat eaters, because after all, she is not contributing to the other things. She is just consuming that part of the animal product industry, which I personally think, or which could be easily argued, that is the most cruel. But if someone is consuming just the most cruel and not the other lesser amounts of cruelty wala products, then they can be appreciated. But the problem with vegans is that the veganism ideology as we know of it in India, that has come up in the hands of woke people, right? So again, they have that Abrahamic blanket mentality, which is that unless you are vegan all the time, forever, completely, 100% you are aligned with them, unless you are that, then you are the non-vegan kafir. That sense, that is the problem. Because I am vegan most of the times. Once in a while I eat an egg after my accident, and not because of health reasons. Eggs don't have any big health benefits. I just sit at home for much of my time, and don't go out in restaurants or office anymore because I'm completely self-employed in my home right now, which is why out of boredom I eat an egg once in a while. But of course I will be hated upon by a vegan as much as someone who eats 50 cows in a day. So we are all equal in the eyes of the vegan. That is the problem. And Rajarshi Nandi made two brilliant points yesterday in the Vaad podcast, which I was seeing his Hindi Vaad podcast, which is about 3.5 hours long. First, Rajarshi Nandi made a great point that if atheists say that humanism above all, transhumanism, Manav Dharma sabse upar hai, what the fuck does that mean? And I really like that line of thinking, because it pushes people to clearly define what the fuck they mean when they use random ad hominems and cool sentences and words or phrases to describe themselves or their enemies. This is what Thomas Sowell also speaks about, that clearly defined terms or lack of clearly defined phrases and terms is one of the biggest problems and the biggest ways for a leftist to get away with pushing absolute bullshit policies. So, okay, you say Hindutwas are Nazis or Narendra Modi is a Nazi. In what way? Clearly define it. Show me the examples. So, not having clearly defined words is a big problem. So, Rajarshi Nandi brings that point up, that what does it mean? He's saying it's bad or good later, but what does it mean when you say that Manav Dharma sabse upar? Now, then he makes the better point that if there, okay, forget God religion. If you don't really need God religion, all you need is some kind of idea that humanity is above all. Then why do you need the IPC? So law, judiciary सब उठा देते हैं. मनुष्यत्व या ह्यूमैनिटी सबसे ऊपर है, रिलीजन नहीं लगेगा तो जुडिशरी क्यों काहे लगेगा, तो आईपीसी क्यों लगेगा, सब खुद को रेगुलेट करो, हो जाएगा. And the other point he made, that's not actually in the Vaad podcast, he mentioned it in the Beer Bicep podcast discussing animal slaughter, and that could be actually argued is a pretty sustainable way to go, because if the society is majorly vegetarian and those vegetarian people, otherwise vegetarian people, slaughter a goat once in a while because of some particular Hindu celebration or any particular event of worship, even then it is sustainable. Because if I had to choose between a complete meat eater who is against animal slaughter versus a complete vegetarian who is pro animal slaughter, guess which one I'll choose? Obviously the vegetarian who slaughters a goat once in a while is better. Okay, let's check some more comments. Then in this Sudha controversy, Arfa tweets that she was not allowed to buy oh yeah, that was hilarious, but she forgot to mention which meat. Dada, please buy and read Brainwash Republic by Neeraj Atri and make an NCRT Expose series. We'll get a lot of views. Yes. I'm pretty sure it is because of beef, but she seems to be oblivious and starts blaming purity. English mantrocharan again. Yes. Dada, opore comment gulo please dekhbe. হ্যাঁ দেখে নিয়েছি. তার উপরে নেই তো কিছু. Sanatan Samiksha, yeah, ওগুলো তো দেখে নিয়েছি. Was Sri Ram a vegetarian or did they eat non-veg? Who knows, when he was 14 years outside in forest, I don't know. He ate meat given he was living in forest. Yeah, that is the idea. I have heard that people during that time did eat non-veg. Yeah. Okay, yes, I too think so. There are such references in Ramayana, I think. Dada, upare comment hai. But Gita Press Translations brushes out all references to non-veg. I see. Acha. Okay. Wait. Yeah, more comments. Nina or White Raptor, but don't mention this in front of Arya Namazis, they get enraged. Okay. Arya Namazi. Aryant was saying from Vaad podcast that even he comes from a Arya Samaji family. We survived and no other civilization did, looks like our fault. Yes. Yeah. We survived and no one did, that's our fault. Not generalizing all Buddhists, but Buddhists did help Muhammad Qasim against Raja Dahir. Yes. Hello Shravya, तुमने membership ले लिया. Buddhism, Islam are both religions of peace after all. Why won't they align with each other? Yes. दादा, मुझे रसमलाई, रसगुल्ला और कर्ड पसंद है. दूध मलाई पीता नहीं. What do you think about this? It's all harmful because it's coming from a cow who was meant to live 20 years but ends up living 4 to 5 years, who gets kicked around and thrown around in a small pen that it lives in. Its tail gets broken when it's carried up and thrust in on a truck. Then it's given estrogen. It's given antibiotics and steroids so that it does not fall sick too much. It's given estrogen so that it can repeatedly get pregnant, give milk. And when you consume all that estrogen, cow ka torture to chodo, your mental health goes to hell. You become less masculine in ways because your female hormone is increasing. Your fat in your lower abdomen will keep increasing. Your mental health, you'll become much more feminine and mentally weaker and more sad or more angry, happy, all these things a little too much because of the increased estrogen, and your mental health will go to hell. But cruelty, yes. आ गया TMC का spy, yes. हाँ भाई, ले ली, तुम membership join करने वाले हो क्या? Okay, PUBG spy. Did you have any discussion regarding the Pakistani PUBG spy? Lol. Okay, दादा, रसमलाई की जगह membership ले लूँगा. Okay. Now, death of Kamsa. Let's see how big is this chapter. Okay. This is the last subchapter of today. Death of Kamsa. Vyasa said, along that royal road, Krishna saw a kubja. Kubja kya hai? Kubja means a woman who is hunchbacked with a crooked back. The word also means a female servant, but here the first meaning is intended. So, what would the place name Kanya Kubja mean? Kanya matlab kya hai? Blind. Kanya, Kana. I don't know. In Bengali, Kana is blind. Kanya, I don't know what Kanya is. Kanya Kubja. Blind and hunchback. Why would someone name a place like that with those words? So, Vyasa said, along that royal road, Krishna saw a kubja advancing with a vessel full of unguents in her hand. She was in the bloom of youth. Playfully, Krishna asked her, who are these unguents for? Where are you taking them? Oh, one with eyes like a blue lotus. Tell me truthfully. When she was addressed affectionately, she was attracted towards the graceful Hari. She looked at him and Bala and spoke. Kubja said, oh beloved, how can you not know? I have been engaged. How long, what was the last place that you all heard? Kanya Kubja is a Brahmin caste name. I don't think it's a caste name, it's a Jati name, but that's because they are from the place Kanya Kubja. But Kanya Kubja means something, right? So internet had gone away, and I don't know how long it was gone away. Here to learn Gomit Gomangsha Noy Panchagavya Bujhai. Oh, acha. Kanauj, yeah, Kanya Kubja is Kanauj. Kanya is lady, Kanya Kubja. Yeah, so maybe not Kanya Kubja, it's Kanya Kubja. So, yeah, the ancient name was Kanya Kubja. So, Kanya, yeah, maybe Kanya Kubja. No, that's probably not the case, okay? Because it's not Kanya in that sense, because in Bengali, we pronounce it as Kanno Kubjo, okay? If it was really Kanya, as in daughter, then in Bengali, we would have pronounced it as Konna Kubjo. But we pronounce it as Kanno Kubjo, and it is Bengali language is pretty accurate with Sanskrit. So if the people, the Pandits of Bengali language who started pronouncing it as Kanno Kubjo and not Konna Kubjo, they definitely knew what it meant, and then therefore it's probably not Kanya Kubja. Devota ki khachchate amar ki. Has anyone read Bhushan's poem on Shivaji Maharaj where he mentioned Kansavad? Okay, no. Might mean girl who has a hunchback. No, it's not a daughter or girl thing. Kanya means something else here. Okay. So Kubja said, oh beloved, how can you not know? I have been engaged by Kamsa. I am engaged in the task of preparing unguents and am known as Naikavakra. Naikavakra means one who is crooked in more than one place on the body. Unguents prepared by others do not please Kamsa. Because of his favors, I have also obtained a great deal of wealth. End quote. Sri Krishna said, O one with a beautiful face, kings deserved these excellent fragrances. Please give us unguents that are appropriate for the likes of us. End quote. Hearing this, she lovingly told Krishna, let it be taken. She gave both of them appropriate unguents for their limbs. Those two bulls among men smeared their limbs with those unguents and were as resplendent as a white and a dark cloud, decorated with Indra's bow. Shauri was conversant with techniques of conversation. While talking, he placed two of his fingers under her chin and raised it up. Keshava pressed down on her feet and straightened her body. When she became upright, She turned into a beautiful woman. अच्छा, वो hunchback को सीधा कर दिया. She became full of love and desire. With enchanting and graceful words, she caught hold of Govinda's garments and said, "Come to my house." Keshava told her, "I will indeed come to your house." Then he let her go. He looked at Rama's face and laughed. Their limbs were smeared with unguents and they were clad in blue and yellow garments. Adorned with colorful garlands, they went to the place where the bow was kept. They asked the guards about where the jewel among the bows was kept. When they were told, Krishna grasped the bow and powerfully strung it. When it was bent for stringing, that large bow snapped. There was an extremely large sound that filled all of Mathura. When the bow was broken, the guards censured them, meaning scolded them. However, they quickly killed the guards and soldiers and left the place where the bow had been kept. Kamsa heard that Akrura had returned when he was also told about how the bow had been shattered. He spoke to Chanura and Mushtika. Kamsa said, "Those two cowherd boys have arrived. They will rob me of my life. In my presence, you should kill them in a wrestling match. O immensely strong ones, if you destroy them in a wrestling match, you will satisfy me. I will give you everything that you ask for. It cannot but be otherwise. They wish to harm me and they must be killed, through fair means or foul. When they have been killed, you will become tributary kings in this kingdom." Okay, it's a footnote is given, it's important. Bibek Debroy is saying, we have amended the text. The text says Samanya, which means general and does not make sense. We have read it as Samanta, vassal king. Okay. Tributary kings means vassal kings. And he says that the text actually said Samanya king, meaning general. But, yes, even if Samanya means simple, even that would not really make sense here. When they have been killed, you will become... it's probably meant to be Samanta, and it got lost somewhere in the particular manuscripts that they got hold of. There, that Samanya, Samanta became Samanya. Having instructed the wrestlers, he summoned the elephant keeper and addressed him in a loud voice. "Let Kuvalyapida, the crazy elephant, be placed at the gate. When those two cowherd boys arrive at the arena for the wrestling match, they must be killed." Having instructed him in this way, he checked to see that all arrangements had been made for the viewing galleries. With his death imminent, Kamsa waited for the sun to rise. All the citizens and other people assembled and sat in the common viewing galleries. Along with their servants, the lords of the earth were seated in the royal galleries. The wrestlers and referees approached the wrestling arena prepared by Kamsa. Kamsa himself was seated in a lofty gallery. Galleries had been constructed for the women from the inner quarters, the courtesans and other women from the city. Nanda Gopa and the other Gopas were in other galleries. Akrura and Vasudeva were in galleries that were towards the end. Devaki, who loved her son, was amidst the women. Even if it happened to be the time of death, she wished to see her son. The trumpets were sounded, Chanura boasted, while Mushtika slapped his arms. There were people who lamented. The elephant Kuvalayapida had been engaged to kill them. But Baladeva and Janardana killed him. Wielding the tusks as weapons and with their bodies smeared with must and blood, they entered that extremely large arena. While everyone looked on, they were proud and seemed to be playing. They entered like two lions amidst deer. There were loud tumultuous sounds everywhere in the arena. Surprised, people exclaimed, "This is Krishna! This is Balabhadra! This is the one who killed the terrible Putana, who roamed around in the night. This is the one who overturned the cart and shattered the twin Arjuna trees. This is the child who climbed atop Kalya Naga and danced. This is the one who held up Govardhana, the giant mountain, for 7 nights. This is Achyuta, the great-souled one. As if playing, he killed Arista, Dhenuka and Keshi, all wicked in conduct. This is his elder brother, the mighty-armed Baladeva. He is advancing in sport, delighting the minds of the women. The wise people who know about the truth of the Puranas have spoken about him. Gopala will be born in the Yadava lineage and will save everyone. Vishnu is in all beings and his birth has taken place from Vishnu's portion. He has been incarnated on earth from his portion. He will certainly remove the earth's burden. At that moment, this is the way the citizens describe Rama and Krishna. Because of her love, milk started to flow from Devaki's breasts. On seeing his sons, it was as if Vasudeva was witnessing a great festival. Because of his delight, old age deserted his body. The women from the royal inner quarters and the women from the city looked on with wide open eyes. They could not stop looking at them. The women said, "Oh friends, look at Krishna's face. His eyes are like lotuses." As a result of the exertions of fighting with the elephant, there are some beads of sweat. His face resembles a blooming autumn lotus, with drops of water clinging to it. Your birth has now been enjoyed. Your vision has obtained success. He is the refuge of the universe. The Shivatsa mark is on his chest. Look at the child who has vanquished even those who cannot be destroyed. Look at the chest of the one who is capable of crushing an adversary. O beautiful one, look at his arms. O one who is enchanted, do you not see the one whose face is like a white lotus? This is Balabhadra. Clad in blue garments, he has arrived here. O friend, look at him. Mushtika and Chanura may be planning, but Balabhadra will prove to be the enemy's equal. O friend, look, Hari is advancing to wrestle with Chanura. Are there no aged ones here who are driven by reason? Hari's body is delicate, and he is only approaching youth. That great Asura has a developed body that is as tough as diamond. These two extremely delicate ones are about to approach youth and have arrived in this arena. Diti's son Mushtika and Chanura are foremost among wrestlers. They are extremely terrible. In this great wrestling match, the referees have caused a transgression of the rules. Though a child is fighting with a strong person, the referees are ignoring it. End quote. While the women of the city were speaking in this way, causing great delight among the people, the illustrious Hari made the ground quake with his footsteps. Balabhadra playfully slapped his arms, and it was a great wonder that the earth did not shatter at each of his steps. What is going on, guys? We are basically doing a live commentary of a wrestling match from thousands of years ago, or at least written one about 800 to 900 years ago. The extremely valiant Krishna fought with Chanura. Mushtika, the accomplished Daitya, fought with Baladeva. Hari was Chanura's equal, and there was a great encounter between them, without using weapons. They shook each other and hurled each other down. They struck each other with their fists, with blows as firm as the Vajra. They elbowed and kicked each other. It was an extremely terrible encounter. In that assembly, which was like a festival, they displayed their respective strength and energy. The more Chanura fought with Hari, the more he lost his energy, and there were no relatives to cheer him on. Krishna, who pervades the universe, fought with him. As if he was toying with him, Kamsa was watching the fight between Chanura and Krishna and saw that his representative was becoming exhausted and losing his strength, while that of Krishna was increasing. He became angry. Filled with rage, he waved his hands and stopped the trumpets from blaring. In that instant, the drums and the playing of musical instruments stopped. However, many trumpets of the gods were sounded from the sky. Remaining invisible, the gods praised him in their joy. O Govinda, victory to you. O Keshava, slay the Danava Chanura. Madhusudana toyed with Chanura for a long time. He then made efforts to kill him. He raised him up and whirled him around. Having whirled the Daitya wrestler around for 100 times, the slayer of enemies dashed him down on the ground, and he lost his life while he was still suspended in the air. Flung down on the ground, Chanura's body shattered into 100 pieces. Because of the great flow of blood, the earth was covered in mire. At that time, just as Hari had fought with Chanura, the immensely strong Baladeva fought with Mushtika. He struck him on the head with his fists and struck him on the chest with his knees. He flung him down on the ground and crushed him, making him lose his life. So this is not wrestling, guys, this is basically MMA. There was an immensely strong king of wrestlers named Toshalaka. Striking him with his left fist, Krishna brought him down on the ground. Chanura was killed. The wrestler Mushtika was brought down. Toshalaka was conveyed to his destruction. At this, all the wrestlers fled. Krishna and Samkarshana jumped around in the arena. They were delighted and dragged Gopas, who were of the same ages as they were, to the arena. This scene description is like any other movie action scene we have seen. Kamsa's eyes became red with rage and he spoke to his men. Use force to evict these Gopas from the assembly. Quickly seize and bind the wicked Nanda. Vasudeva must be punished like someone who is not aged. Meaning an aged person should not be killed, so Vasudeva is not aged, therefore kill him. Let him be killed. Do the same with the Gopas who are boasting with Krishna. Seize their cattle and whatever riches they possess. As he was commanding this, Madhusudana laughed. He leaped onto the gallery where Kamsa was seated. He powerfully seized him by the hair, so that his crown was dislodged and fell down on the ground. He felled Kamsa down on the ground and pinned him there with his own body. The weight of the entire universe was in Krishna, and when that weight descended on him, the king Ugrasena's son lost his life. The immensely strong Madhusudana seized Kamsa's dead body by the hair and dragged it to the middle of the arena. The body was great in weight, and a great weight had fallen on it. In addition, the great-souled one had dragged Kamsa's body with great force. Therefore, the body was disfigured. As Krishna was dragging Kamsa, his brother Sunama arrived there. Full of rage, however, playfully, Balabhadra brought him down. At this, there was a tumultuous roar everywhere in that circular arena on seeing that Krishna had contemptuously killed the Lord of Mathura. Krishna, with the immensely strong Baladeva as his aide, quickly touched the feet of Vasudeva and Devaki. Vasudeva and Devaki raised Janardana up. Remembering the words that had been spoken at the time of his birth, they stood there, bowing down before him. Vasudeva said, O divinity, O Lord of the gods, O supreme among the gods, O Lord, be pleased. O Keshava, you have saved us through your favors. Having been worshipped, the illustrious one has taken an avatara in my house. For the sake of slaying those who are wicked in conduct, our lineage has been sanctified. You are inside all beings. You are stationed within all beings. It is the truth that everything, the past and the future, flow from you. You are worshipped through sacrifices. You cannot be thought of. O Achyuta, you are in all the gods. You are the sacrifice. You are the one who performs the sacrifice. You are the supreme lord of sacrifices. But since you have been born as Devaki's son, the love causes this mental confusion and mortification. You are the creator of all beings. You are without a beginning and without an end. How can a human tongue like mine address you as a son? O Jagannatha, this entire universe has originated in you. Barring your Maya, how can someone like you have been born from us? Everything in the universe, mobile and immobile, is established in you. How can someone like that lie down in a human womb or lap? O Supreme Lord, be pleased. Save the universe. You have taken an incarnation and are not actually my son. O Lord of the universe, O Supreme Lord, why are you using your Atman to confound the minds of everyone, beginning with Brahma and ending with a tree? With my eyes confused by Maya, I thought of you as a son. O Lord of cattle, Gopala, extremely scared of Kamsa and my mind overwhelmed by fear of the enemy, I conveyed you to Gokula. Rudra, the Maruts, the Ashwins, Shatakratu and the Sadhyas have witnessed your deeds. You are Vishnu, you are the Lord. You have come to us for the welfare of the universe. Earlier, we were filled with great confusion. That is the end of this subchapter. And this reminds me that, see, our culture values combat sports to such an extent, और हमको पढ़ाया गया ये Hinduism teaches non-violence, etc. But see, wrestling, MMA is described, graphic detail, कितना blood निकला, blood से मिट्टी पूरा लाल हो गया, सब description है. But also, this reminds me that even Plato or Aristotle, one out of these two, had actually ended up killing someone when they were competing in a wrestling match. Actually तब wrestling नहीं बोलते थे, तब MMA का ही एक वेरिएशन था जिसमें कि wrestling भी होगा और striking भी होगा. उसको उस वक्त में pancration बोलते थे. तो ancient जो Olympics होता था उसमें pancration के एक मैच में प्लेटो या एरिस्टोटल ने, probably प्लेटो ने किसी को मार ही डाला था. And he is such a great philosopher. And these guys who were wrestling were also great philosophers, coming up with great thoughts and ideas, philosophies, okay? So that reminds me of two things. One, something that is said in Sanatan Dharma itself, and one that was said by Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, that Nietzsche said that there is no philosophy book which has more philosophy than the amount of philosophy in the human body. The way the philosophy behind the functioning of the human body is all you need to know about philosophy. If you want to learn about philosophy, just learn about the human body itself, and you can learn mostly about that by working out, playing a sport, getting injured, healing, etc., improving your strength, etc., testing your strength, etc. Okay. And there is a quote, Sanskrit quote in Hindu mythology or Hindu scripture as well, Hindu philosophy, which is that yatha brahmande tatha pinde, or yatha brahmande tatha pinde, and yatha pinde tatha brahmande. However your body functions, that is how the universe functions. Okay. What a great live stream today about Brahma Puran. Okay, let me check some comments again. And the next day we will start. What is the next subchapter? Return of Sandipani's son. That is the next subchapter that we are going to start. Okay, let me check some comments here. This is a confusion of so many so-called scholars who are not trained in Kalpa Sutras and Mimamsa Shastra, which in length discuss these issues. It feels so complicated. How do you know so much? I was referring to my Shakha Kalpa Sutra, Katyayana Sutra. You read far more than me, I guess. Here to learn. Just remember what our Adi Shankaracharya Bhagwan had said in his text on the issue of ahimsa. We should never kill animals. Only if the Vedic ritual asks for bali, then alone you commit, right? Just like you don't go around killing humans, except in the case of an atatai. Yeah, fair enough. Also, then you do not eat the meat you give to others who like to eat them, and we know who they are. Specifically, it is given as an instruction to give those meat to hunters, nishadas, who have no problem in eating the meat. Yes. Yaggyar pore bultar ki hoto janina bole jiggesh korchi. Acha, great discussion was going on here. So is it about gender? Sharo apotti nei. Ancient MMA, yes, ancient MMA is called pancreation, and there is actually an MMA promotion. It's not functional now. There was an MMA promotion called pancreation in the mid 90s. Here to learn. No, it is not for devatas or not humans, but manifest even as animals which eat cows. Okay, yeah. Abhay Agarwal, regarding beef consumption in IVC, there was a 2-hour-long video by someone, Dr. Priyadarshini, that the proof of beef consumption in Harappa can actually be of fats or butter which decomposes. Okay, that's a good way to go. Same as beef ages. Okay, just like you don't go around killing humans, except, okay, good comments. Okay, let me check some more comments. Oh, I googled this. It seems it is indeed spelled Kanya Kubja, not Kanya Kubja in Sanskrit. I stand corrected. Even now, Kanauj is not spelled Kanauj, but rather Kanauj. Okay, so it's Kanya Kubja. Okay, so Bengalis got it wrong then. So it's supposed to be Konna Kubjo, not Kanno Kubjo. Interesting. I'll have to check up on that. Indus Valley civilization did have beef consumption. Okay. Here to learn, beef is not mentioned. Indra consuming bull is mentioned, not cow. The same Rigveda mentions cow as Agnya, meaning not to be killed. Okay, yeah. Bos indigus cow. Okay. ইন্দ্র কি ভক্ষণ করে এবং আমাদের জন্য কি ধর্ম তাতে অনেক পার্থক্য রয়েছে। হ্যাঁ, তা ঠিক। Kanyakubja, it means the city of hunchbacked maidens. Yeah, that is, I think, what the meaning should be. Kanyakubja. It saddens me that the Bengali pronunciation is wrong then. Dr. Bibilal said that he found cow fat in ancient utensils. Oh. Okay then, this is where our live stream ends today. Thanks for joining, guys. It was a great discussion today. I think I'll cut out this part. I will edit and re-upload this section separately as well as a video, just to point out there was a description of such a great wrestling match in our ancient religious scriptural texts. Okay. So if I'm coming live tomorrow, hopefully, then we will discuss Bangalir Tihash and we'll counter that guy, which I probably won't be able to do, I think, because I have a important work at 1 PM tomorrow. So probably day after tomorrow we are doing it. Okay. Thanks for joining, guys. Good night. দাদা প্লিজ বিনয় কুমার সরকারের আর্টিকেলটা জাস্ট হ্যাঁ ওটা আরেকবার কমেন্টও করে রেখো তো, ওটা মনে রাখতে হবে। একদিন একটা সেপারেট পেপার ডিসকাশনের লাইভ স্ট্রিম করতে হবে, অনেকদিন করা হয়নি। উইল ডু আ পেপার ডিসকাশন লাইভ স্ট্রিম এগেন, দেয়ার উই উইল ডিসকাস দিস। থ্যাংকস ফর জয়নিং, গাইজ। গুড নাইট।